Hey everybody, in this video we're going to be learning about JavaScript Cookie. So let's get started. So basically JavaScript Cookie is a small piece of data or a small piece of text file that website stores on a user's computer. So basically cookies are basically used to remember the user information and like their login page time and stuff. So yeah. So let's go ahead and see how do you create a cookie. So to create a cookie we have to use a document.cookie. And after that you're gonna use an equals and then a string. Inside that string you're gonna use key value, and this is basically in a key value pair, so cookies are basically gonna be stored in a key value pairs. So let's see an example. So first what we're gonna do is we're gonna create a cookie. So we're gonna do document dot cookie equals, and then what we are gonna do is right here we are just gonna keep a string, and then we're gonna type name equals, and then you can type any name, and I'm just gonna type John. And after this what we want to do is we want to check the cookie, right? So let's go ahead and type that, and let's go ahead and see if this cookie works. So console.log, and if you do document.cookie it's gonna give you a list of all the cookies that you have already in the computer or the thing which we write in the code. So let's go ahead and open this live server. So let's go ahead and do that. Now we're gonna go to the inspect console. Let me just zoom this in. So there we go. We got our output saying name is John, and just don't worry about that. So let's reload this. And there we go. So we got our output name equals John, and this is a cookie. So if you want to know how these cookie work and stuff, like how there's there, so let's go ahead and unzoom this. And we're gonna go to application. So if you want it to be in zoom place, you can just click this and then go to the application. And inside this what you're gonna do is you're gonna go to this cookie place. So right here, so you're gonna find this cookie icon, and then after you click that you're gonna go to this thing, which is basically our server, which is this one. And there we go. So this is our cookie, which is name and John. So if I was to change the name, it's gonna do it differently. So let's go ahead and do something real quick. So we're gonna go to this here, and we're gonna copy this and then paste another one right there. So this time what I'm gonna do is I'm just gonna change this to name too. And there we go. And let's just put this in a lowercase so that we can understand. There we go. So now that should be good. And now let's go through here. So now we have two cookies. Let me just resize that there. And let's do this same thing. There we go. So now we can see name is John, and that's our first cookie right here. And this is our second one, which is name 2 is John 2. So now what I want to say is let's go ahead and delete this. Basically we remove that, and let's go ahead and see right here. So we still have this cookie in here. So there we go. I'm reloading this and it still exists. So you can do this, or you can just go right click and delete it. So you can manually do that too. And there's also a way that you can do in your code too, but I just don't want to talk it right now. So let's go ahead and get our code back. And the next thing I want to talk about is cookie overriding. So basically, if you have the same name or the same key right here, which is name, and it really doesn't matter about the value, but this is what is going to happen. So let's go ahead and reload this, or actually let's go ahead and delete all the cookies we have. And let's go ahead and reload this. And there we go. We just have one cookie that is the overridden cookie, which is this one. So this got overridden by this one, basically. So this doesn't exist kind of thing. And now this exists because this overridden this. So yeah. And now the only cookie we have is name and John 2. So that's the only cookie we have. So let's go ahead and show. And there we go. So we just got one cookie right there, and that's basically how you can see the cookies you have. So many websites actually use these cookies. So let's go ahead and go to console back again. So let's go ahead and actually delete that because we don't need that right now. So let's go ahead and delete that. Now we're gonna go back to our console, and now what we're gonna do is we're gonna remove all the code right there. So now what we just want to do is basically I just want to talk about something called expiry date. So let's go ahead and do this. So let's go ahead and do that. Name equals John. And now what we're going to do is we're going to keep a semicolon. And this is how you separate some specific things inside the cookie. So here we're just going to write expires equals, and then what we can just do is you can put any day. So I'm just going to put Sunday, and the short form is sun, so I'm just gonna write that. and I'm just gonna put use date that we already crossed, May 9, 2024, which is already done. So now what we are gonna do is we're gonna set the time. Let's go ahead and do that. So it's basically kind of like in the midnight or so. So yeah, now or it might be 12 p.m. in the evening. So yeah, and let's go ahead and see if our cookie works. But before, we gotta just get our cookies, all of those. Console.log. Let's go ahead and do document.cookie. There we go. So now there we go, our cookie doesn't even work because it expired. So instead, if I put 2025, it's gonna still work now. So name equals John. So basically, if you put the expiry date before or the day we already crossed, it's gonna happen, like it's not gonna work, it's just gonna delete itself. So yeah, that's how you can also delete these. So now let's go ahead and do in more like automatic way. So for this, we're basically going to use functions. So the first function is basically going to be like setCookie. So whenever you use this function, you can set the cookie and so yeah, let's go ahead and use setCookie. And inside this, what we want is we can just take 3 parameters if you want, but we can just take 2. That's totally fine too. But some people, if they want 3, they can do that. So let's go ahead and do expiry date. There we go. And now what we can do is we can just do something like this. So first, we want to set the expiry date to be in milliseconds. So let's go ahead and do that. So first, we're going to have a variable named time equals new date. So this date is basically of how you, let's go ahead and hover over it. So there we go. That's already a date constructor, which is already predefined or by this JavaScript thing. So yeah, let's go ahead. And now what we are going to do is we can do time dot set time, which is right here, and inside this you're gonna get the current time. So time dot get time. Let's go do that, and then this should be in a function, and then we wanna add this to the time we want it to expire. And so we're gonna do expiry date, and we're gonna do times 24 hours because a day has 24 hours, and then 60 minutes, and then 60 seconds, and 1000 milliseconds. So that's basically how you can convert into milliseconds in this, and that's basically what we are gonna do till here. And next, it's not done till here because this is not in a string, and so yeah, you have to convert into a string. So this is our final expiry date, which we're gonna use. Expires equals, you can name it anything you want, it really doesn't matter, but I'm just gonna name it expires. And then now what we want is we're gonna do expires equals, and then let's go ahead and do plus, and after that we can just do something like this. So now what we're gonna do is we're gonna do time dot to UTC string. So that's basically how you can convert into UTC, and so yeah, that's basically how we can do that. And now what we can do, and if you still don't understand what is this to UTC string, so this is basically gonna convert into the UTC time and also to a string. So yeah, that's how this thing works. And now what we want is we can just go ahead and create our document.cookie, and this is where we're gonna create our cookie basically. Document.cookie equals the name they provide, which the name they provide there, plus since we need an equal sign. And then what we want is also the value, the key value basically. So yeah, and the next thing is we want a semicolon. There we go. And the next thing is expires, and there we go. So we have these, and there's an additional thing that you can use, which is basically path. I mean, you don't have to use, but it's fine if you guys use. That really doesn't matter, so I'm just not gonna use it. So let's see if our setCookie function works. So we're gonna do setCookie, and then we're just gonna pass, let's just say the same thing we did before, name. We're gonna pass John, and we're gonna do expiry date as, let's go ahead and put let's put 25 days. Let's go ahead and do that. Now let's go ahead and see right here. So let's go ahead and, oh, we forgot to do console.log, so let's go do that. Console.log document.cookie. There we go. Now that should work. Name equals John, and the name equals John. So this first thing is because like we had the name there, so we can go ahead and delete it if you guys don't want it. So yeah, we can do that too. So let's go ahead and delete that right now. So to make it not confusing, I'm just deleting it. So let's go to console. Now let's go reload it. So there we go, we got our cookie name equals Sean, so that works. And I'm just not gonna be removing this thing because I need this, and so that works. We are getting our name equals Sean just by using our function setCookie. So now, instead of deleting it like going into the applications, you can directly use some code to delete it. So what you're gonna do, the two things you need is a function and also the setCookie function, because they both are kind of like interlinked. So we're gonna do delete cookie, because since there's gonna delete the cookie, we need it. And now what we need is the name of the cookie we want to delete, because if you have the name, you can delete it. And now what we want to do is we just want to go right here. Let's go do that. And we are going to call the setCookie function. And then we are just going to be doing name. And then we're just going to put others as null. And then this is going to delete them. So now if I just do something like this, so let's go ahead and do delete cookie. There we go. And then the name is going to be basically, let's go ahead and put name, because the name of the cookie is basically name right there. So yeah, now it's gone for us. There we go. So if I remove this, it's gonna still be there, I guess. Yeah, there we go. So we have our name still there, but if I use it, it's gonna be deleted. And there we go. So, and even though you go to applications, it's still deleted too. And the same thing if it's there. So yeah, that's how this thing works. And the last thing we want to do is we want to get the cookies. So you can do that too. So basically this function is basically gonna get the cookies by their name. So first we're gonna name this function as getCookies, since this is gonna get the cookies. So yeah. And the next thing we want inside this function is a name, because using this name you can get the thing. So yeah. Now what we want is we can do name equals, I'm just gonna do name eq, and then we're gonna do name plus, and then the equal sign, because the equal sign should be there. And I forgot, I have to put const for this, because since we are not changing this, I guess we can put const. And the next thing we don't want to change but can be modified or so we can do cookie array. So this thing is going to be converted into an array. So first what we want is document.cookie, which is pretty straightforward. But here what we are going to do is we're going to split this. So normally if you have seen before, so let's go ahead and remove this or copy this right here, and let's remove that. There we go. And now let's go ahead and go right here. Oh wait, we are deleting the cookies, so let's go do that. So now let's go ahead and add some cookies, and we're gonna put this in a different name so that we can understand. And there we go. So basically whenever you see these cookies are being separated by these, so let me just go ahead and zoom in if you guys cannot see. So they're basically gonna be separated by the semicolon and a space, but if you don't want, you cannot keep a space. It depends on if you want or no, but you have to keep the semicolon, because that's basically how these things are separated. So yeah, let's go ahead and resume that. And now what we are gonna do is we are gonna do something like this. We can, oh wait, we forgot the function. So let's go ahead and go get our function back. And there we go. So let's not delete the cookie. We're gonna set another cookie, same thing before, name2, and that's gonna be, let's go ahead and fix this. Name2, and then we want it to be the same name. It doesn't really matter about that. And we're gonna put the same expiry date. And there we go. So that works. So now we have basically two cookies, and what we want is it should be splitted by this semicolon. And now what we want to do is we can have a for loop. You can use a for each loop, but I'm just going to use a for loop. So we can just do let I equal 0, and then in this, basically what we're going to do until I is less than the cookie array dot length. Let's go ahead and do that. So until it's less than the length of the cookie array, it's gonna be looping this and stuff, and it's gonna execute the code, whatever is inside this. And let's go ahead and give a semicolon instead of a comma. That's my bad. Let's go ahead and do that. So now what we are doing is basically we have this for loop doing right here. So we are basically declaring an I. We are doing this, and then the last thing we want is the number of iterations or the thing we have to do. Let's go ahead and do that. Now that works. Now inside this, the first thing we need is to remove the white spaces, because sometimes there's white spaces between whatever you write. So yeah, we want to trim this. So what we want to do is we want to have a cookie. So this is our cookie we are gonna most of the time use. We're gonna use let cookie equals, and then we're gonna be trimming the cookie array dot trim. And this should be of I because we are looping through I, right? So basically we have to do of I. So if there's any white space, it's basically gonna trim it. And if you want how this works, so let's go ahead and do this. So yeah, it's basically gonna trim it. So yeah, and now what we want to do, wait, let's hover over it. Yeah, so now what we want to do, yeah, now it came. So let's go ahead and hover over it right here or so. It just came before. Yeah, there we go. So basically this removes the leading and trailing white space and line terminator. So yeah, that's why we use the trim. So that's what I wanted to show you guys. So now let's go ahead and use an if loop right now. So this if loop is basically gonna check by the index and something. So yeah, let's go ahead and first do cookie dot index of, because that's how you check index kind of thing. And the argument we gotta pass inside this is the name eq, because that's the starting, and then we have to basically check in a strict way. So that's why we're gonna basically use triple equals. Basically, if you know what is triple equals, you may understand. But basically, triple equals basically is gonna check the type and also if it's equal or not. So yeah, that's strict checking, and that's how this thing works. And I guess I explained that in my previous videos or so. And we have to take the name eq as an argument because that's how we started off. And now what we are gonna do is we're gonna return. And in this return, we are gonna convert this cookie into a substring. And because basically if there's a cookie that exists, and so you have to make it in a substring. So let's go ahead and fix it. Cookie dot substring right there. Now, I guess let's spell it right. So now what we want to do is, let's go ahead and see if this is the right one. Let's go ahead and remove these parentheses and see if it's actually the right one. So let's go ahead and change this to that. And I guess that should work. So now what we want to do is we want to do something like this. So first we want the name EQ's length. Basically that's the starting position, right? Basically, so yeah, dot length. And what we want to do is also the cookie dot length, the final cookie dot length, so that you can just get the whole name. And so yeah, that's why we're doing this. And now what we want to do is, I guess that should be it. So let's go ahead and check this. The thing I'm just I don't know if it's correct or not, is a substring. So let's go ahead and do get cookie. So we're basically gonna get the cookie. Let's go ahead and get cookie, and we're gonna be doing, let's just go ahead and do let's just go and do name. There we go. And now let's see. Document. Oh, okay. Let's see where we spelled it wrong. Oh, it's right here. So document, and that should work, I guess. So there we go. Now that works. So the name of this is John. So we are basically getting the cookie by the key. Basically, kind of like getting something by key. So key value pairs in like variables. So that's how it's kind of working. So we're basically getting this cookie just by the key. There we go. So that works, and I guess you guys can understand, I guess. So that's it for today's video. See you in the next video. Until then, bye bye.